minus 30 minutes and counting.
Hello everyone. Hello everyone. A warm welcome to each and every one of you on this bright sunny day, which marks a golden milestone in the annals of Indian space journey. It's a matter of great pride to note that the first ever Indian private rocket has come to the stage of its maiden flight today, thanks to the relentless efforts of the Indian space community, aided by the recent reforms in space sector. Today's mission reflects the power of synergy between the government and the private sector, facilitated by the InSpace. It is poised to boost the confidence of more such startups in venturing towards space journeys for which the sky is the limit. The presence of Dr. Jitendra Singh, Minister of State in the PMO, Science and Technology, Space and Atomic Energy, adds to the enthusiastic air that fills the Satish Dhawan Space Center here at Sriharikota today. I am Jai Singh from DD News, Chennai, and I am joined by Mr. Abhay Kumar from Skyroot Aerospace and Ms. Mathuri from ISRO. It was the launch of India's first indigenous sounding rocket, Rohini 75, on November 20, 1967, that marked a new beginning for the Indian space industry. There has been no looking back for the Indian space sector since then. With the constitution of the Indian Space Research Organization ISRO on August 15, 1969, the Indian space program gained momentum. India soon entered the global ranks with the launch of India's first satellite, Aryabhatta, on April 19, 1975. In this journey of more than 5 decades, enriched with multiple milestones, including the epoch-making Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan missions, the Indian space sector capabilities have grown manifold. All thanks to the scientists and leadership team of ISRO. Till date, ISRO has made immense contribution to the success of the Indian space sector and placed India among the top few spacefaring nations in the world. Fast forward to 2019, we saw a new turning point in the journey of India's space sector, when the Union government decided to set up the New Space India Limited, NSIL, under Department of Space, DOS, to commercialize the research and development work of ISRO. It was followed by a visionary and path-breaking decision in June 2020, when the central government opened up the space sector to enable the participation of Indian private sector in the entire gamut of space activities. The decision was taken to enable private firms in building their own rockets, satellites, related ground equipment, etc., so that it contributes to the holistic development of India's space sector. Following the vision of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi to enable seamless participation from private players in India's space sector, the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center InSpace was constituted in June 2020. It was formulated as a single window, independent nodal agency, which functions as an autonomous agency in the Department of Space of Government of India to boost private space sector economy in India. It was a very significant step taken by Government of India to tap the immense potential of Indian space sector and increase India's share in the global space economy. To give you some context, global space sector is witnessing rapid growth. A recent report projects the global space economy to be worth $469 billion, which grew by 9% from 2020 onwards. It means there is a lot of scope for India to tap this vast market. Hence, the recent space sector reforms were brought in to enhance India's share in global space market, majorly through private sector participation. After the announcement of InSpace, its headquarters are set up in Bhopal and was inaugurated on 10th June 2022 by Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. He termed the launch of InSpace as a watch this space moment for the Indian space industry, as it would be a precursor to many developments and opportunities in the Indian space sector. He gave the slogan, InSpace is for space, InSpace is for pace, InSpace is for ace. and emphasized on how in space, ISRO, NSIL together, along with active participation from the private sector, would take Indian space sector beyond the limits of the
Event
sky.
number 35 confirmed.
The introduction of InSpace as an autonomous body added a new dimension to the government's vision of bridging the gap among the government and private entities working in the space sector. Since its
Block house one to
inception,
control.
InSpace in coordination with
Apparent
ISRO
calling,
has been
programmer.
playing a pivotal role in boosting the private sector space economy in India. With its role as a promoter, enabler, authorizer and
requesting
supervisor,
permission to power on the
InSpace is acting as the cornerstone of space reforms in the country. It has been working closely with the industry,
Launchpad calling
especially
program and
the
RSO.
young
Preliminary
startups,
setting completed for the launcher.
with ISRO and its centers, NSIL, and with various
Focus one to
departments
all
of the
stations.
government like
Initiating
Department
vehicle
of
power on.
Space, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Department of Telecom, and Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade to facilitate and authorize the space non-governmental entities, NGEs, to undertake space activities in the country. The space sector reforms have opened a whole new world of opportunities for the industry. There is a revolutionary change that can be seen in the private space industry. We can clearly see an increasing interest from the private players in the sector in last 1 year. There has been a
Block house one to all
massive boom of
stations. Vehicle
startups
powered on.
in the space tech sector. Number of space startups have gone up. As per the Economic Survey of India, till 2021, there were more than 100 space startups registered, which is a jump of close to 500% in the last 5 years. The numbers are set to increase further with reforms by the central government and increase in investment. Traditional vendors to ISRO and MSMEs are diversifying by going up the value chain. L&T and Bharat Electronics Limited, through a consortium, have come forward to take a giant step to manufacture the PSLV rocket.
Block house.
Investment in
Confirm if,
space sector
power
is
supply is
increasing.
turned on.
Recently, Skyroot Aerospace received the highest ever funding in the form of venture capital of 51 million US dollars, followed by Agnikul Cosmos,
to
which
Sharp,
received a
Sharp
funding
Sharp
close to
power amplifier
20 million US dollars in November 2022. This depicts the rising confidence amongst the investors in the vibrant Indian space sector
Blockhouse,
as an
the
expected
COT,
outcome
Siemens
of this
transponder on.
deregulation brought in by the space reforms. In addition, ISRO is going all out to help NGEs to help give access to its ecosystem and its expertise. In fact, next big milestone is going to be the launch of Agni-borne sorted suborbital rocket by Agnikul Cosmos, an aerospace startup incubated at IIT Madras. InSpace team is working with Agnikul to enable the launch of their suborbital flight in coming months. InSpace, along with NSIL, is playing an important enabling role in this coming age of the Indian space sector. The growing number of applications received by InSpace from space NGEs is a testimony to the growing momentum in the private space sector. Till date, InSpace has received more than 150 proposals from startups, MSMEs,
Block
and
out one
industries
COT.
online, enabled by
P3
InSpace digital platform for new space ventures and activities. InSpace has signed 16 memoranda of understanding and issued 5 authorizations to space non-governmental entities for undertaking space activities in the country.
Of the C-band transponder.
It is continued efforts to scale newer horizons in India's space domain. On 16 November 2022, InSpace authorized the first ever private sector launch of a launch vehicle by Skyroot Aerospace, a Hyderabad-based space startup. And today is going to be a memorable day in the history of Indian space sector when the first ever launch of a privately designed and built rocket from India will take place from ISRO spaceport Satish Dhawan Space Center at Sriharikota, Andhra Pradesh.
Namaskar, very good morning, and welcome to the live coverage of India's first private sector rocket launch from the Satish Dhawan Space Center, the spaceport of India. We are around 20 minutes away from the launch. And I'm Abhay Kumar from Skyroot Aerospace, live together with my fellow commentators. And in a few moments, we will be executing India's first private launch from this very launch complex, which has seen hundreds of ISRO launches over the last 50 years. The entire Skyroot team is excited to bring to you the first of many such endeavors. On screen, the rocket all ready for the launch, undergoing final preparations. And we are launching today, and let me introduce to you the VIKRAM S rocket, named after the famed scientist and the founder of Indian space program, Dr. Sarabhai.
Please repeat the
On the
value.
screens, a view from MCC, where the esteemed guests and participants. Now back to the view from the launch pad, where last minute preparations are going on, and we are all very close to the launch. On your screens now, the VVIPs as well.
Noted.
Namaste viewers, I am
Go
Madhuri,
ahead.
Deputy Manager Valve SDSC SHAR, welcoming you with my fellow commentators from the Mission Control Center for this momentous launch.
Blockhouse 1 to COT.
You have just now watched the launch vehicle
current
on the
change of
launch pad and few visuals from the Mission Control Center, where the team from Skyroot Aerospace are all eager to witness their first ever launch of VIKRAM S. Let me introduce Skyroot Aerospace to our viewers. Skyroot Aerospace is a two-time national award-winning space startup founded by Pawan Kumar Chandana and Nagabharat Dhaka. This largest privately funded space startup in India has reached
Madam, kindly
launch
note that event
just
number
within
41.
4
Can you
years
kindly
of its
confirm?
incorporation, with more than
Please
200
stand by,
employees
safety
with an
officer.
average age of less than 30
Okay,
years.
message noted.
What you calling blockhouse? What you calling blockhouse?
This is the team of Skyroot Aerospace.
What you calling blockhouse?
COT, go ahead.
You see the Skyroot Aerospace team at their facility at Hyderabad. The dedication with which they have worked for.
You can see on your screen photo of Honorable Prime Minister. Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi along with the two co-founders taken in front of their rocket stages. This was taken when Honorable Prime Minister met them during the inauguration of InSpace headquarters. So what is special about today's launch?
17 minutes.
यस माधुरी, आज बहुत ही विशेष दिन है. एक नए आरंभ का प्रारंभ हो रहा है Skyroot द्वारा. And let me tell you that this is a very special day for Skyroot Aerospace, where the company is launching its maiden rocket under the name PRARAMBH, means the beginning, signifying a new era of the private sector in India. And the first mission of Skyroot, the PRARAMBH mission, was unveiled at ISRO headquarters, Bangalore, after the technical clearance from the space regulator
Blockhouse 1
in
to
space.
COT. Please turn on
PRARAMBH
pulses.
mission
Please
aims
turn
to
on
launch
pulses.
VIKRAM S, a suborbital rocket from the launching facility at Sriharikota. Some of the pre-integration activities are on your screen. The VIKRAM S is a single-stage, solid-fuel suborbital rocket which takes about 2 years to develop and has been built in India using advanced technologies. One of the key technology is the vehicle structure is built from carbon fiber, which is 4 times lighter than steel, making it one of the India's few space vehicles to do so. The other key technology is the use of 3D printing, which was used to build the 4 thrusters, which offer the spin stabilization to this aerodynamically stable rocket. View from the VIP galleries on MCC. Madhuri, I would like to ask you that why don't you tell us something more about VIKRAM rocket?
Yes, sir. As we are just 15 minutes, about 20 seconds away from the launch, it's appropriate to let the viewers know more about the
Blockhouse to
VIKRAM
Sharman and Sharp 2.
S launcher.
Turning off S-band power amplifier.
The overall dimension
Short
of the
one and two
rocket
copy.
is 6 meters in height and around 380 mm in diameter with an overall lift-off mass of 545 kg. The vehicle is powered by a single-stage solid propulsion system called Kalam 80, which has a burn time of 23 seconds
P3 confirmed.
and a peak thrust of 7 tons. VIKRAM S has a capacity to lift off and climb to an altitude of over 80 kilometers, which is commonly defined as the beginning of space. However, this first mission will be a success if the vehicle crosses 50 kilometers in altitude. As a comparison to our viewers, a normal passenger flight flies at an altitude of nearly 10 kilometers.
Vehicle is powered off and health of the vehicle is observed to be nominal.
Please stand by for a video on from the co-founders of Skyroot Aerospace, the CEO Mr. Pawan and the CEO Mr. Bharat. Please stand by for the video.
This mission, we have flight proven several critical technologies that go into our VIKRAM series of space launch vehicles, such as avionics, propulsion systems, carbon composite structures, and thermal protection systems. This milestone would not have been possible without the great support we received from ISRO and InSpace, who worked with us hand in hand throughout our journey.
This is such a landmark event for the country. We thank the Prime Minister of India for creating space reforms which enabled us to achieve this milestone. This VIKRAM rocket can reach hypersonic speeds, that is 5 times the speed of sound within just 25 seconds and reach space within just 150 seconds. This VIKRAM rocket is one of the world's first few rockets built with all carbon fiber structure, and it has 4 3D printed engines for creating roll stability for the rocket. We at Skyroot have been waiting for this moment for long, and Team Skyroot has been working several months towards this great milestone.
Welcome back to the live coverage. On your screens now, the Skyroot rocket VIKRAM S, all set to launch. You can see final activities, last minute activities going on, and soon the launch pad will be cleared. Now you have the view from MCC, where we are having our VIP guests, Sri Pawan Goenka, Chairman InSpace, on your screens, very intently discussing final aspects of the pre-launch preparations. And now on your screens, the mission profile which this rocket is going to follow. After liftoff from the Sounding Rocket Complex at Sriharikota, using the standard launcher here, we will lift off. The rocket will fly, move on the rocket rails, the launcher rails, for around 0.73 seconds. And around 100 milliseconds after that, that is around 0.8 seconds, the spin rockets will be fired to stabilize the rocket. Then the aerodynamics will kick in, and the fin cants will maintain the spin stabilization. The rocket is all through aerodynamically stable, and that is how the control is offered. Around 15 seconds, we will experience the maximum Q and the maximum loads on the vehicle. And we will reach an altitude of more than 80 kilometers and finally splash down and see some 134 kilometers away from Sriharikota coast. So this is the summary of our profile, and you can see the mission is well planned, and we are all waiting for this mission to successfully happen in around 11 minutes, 18 seconds from now, when the liftoff will take place. We will continue our mission speech like this, and Madhuri, why don't you take us further in terms of what is the weather climate and what are the further flight profiles?
Yes, sir. It's a bright sunny morning here in Sriharikota with the benign winds. The ground wind speed is likely between 7 to 8 meters per second. However, the vehicle is capable to thrive in much higher winds of up to 25 meters per second. The nominal liftoff of VIKRAM S from Sriharikota is at 11 hours 30 minutes on 18th of November 2022. The range and tracking operations for VIKRAM S are being undertaken by SDSC SHAR Range Operations at ISRO. Telemetry data will be captured by ISRO Telemetry Tracking and Command Network Station of ISRO and relayed to the control center.
The seamless joint efforts of various ISRO centers, including the SDSC SHAR, ISTRAC, VSSC, Skyroot team, and InSpace, have enabled the Skyroot VIKRAM S rocket to be launch ready in a short period of time. InSpace Technical Mission Readiness Review Committee members from ISRO centers, InSpace ex officio experts from ISRO rigorously reviewed launch vehicle and integration preparation and gave guidance to enable final launch clearance. The maiden rocket launch for Skyroot Aerospace is perhaps the most important milestone for the Indian private space sector since the space reforms announced by Government of India. Though one small step, it is a giant leap to demonstrate the ability of the Indian space private sector. This will pave the way for many such private sector launches. The path-breaking launch of the first indigenous sounding rocket Rohini 75 that took place in November 20, 1967 laid the foundation of the Indian space program and changed the trajectory of the Indian space sector. Likewise, mission PRARAMBH, which is the first Indian private sector launch, marks the beginning of a new dawn and which will propel the Indian space sector into next orbit.
So we are about 8.5 minutes away from the launch. Why don't you in the meantime tell the viewers what is the objective of today's mission and whether Vikram S is carrying with it any payload?
Thank you, Madhuri. View from the MCC. We continue to monitor the launch very closely. And as you have asked, what is the objective of today's mission and what is flying abroad on board today? So to tell you briefly, to tell our viewers briefly, PRARAMBH mission is a technology demonstrator flight which will help test space-grade hardware and systems and validate technologies that will be used in the subsequent launches coming up next year for Skyroot. The company is working on 3 orbital class rockets in the VIKRAM series, again named after the founder of space program, Dr. Sarabhai. VIKRAM S carries with its 3 customer payloads, which are non-deployable PCB-based payloads equipped with sensors and instrumentation to validate the flight worthiness and the payload integration process. Now, we have this a very interesting thing which is flying with the vehicle is something called Hello Space cards. What we have done is, it is something special and we have made cards called Hello Space cards, and they are flying on board carrying wishes, good wishes of 300 people who have contributed to this mission from Skyroot, ISRO and InSpace. So we have put these cards on the vehicle, and this vehicle is going to carry these cards in around 6 minutes and 43 seconds from now. You can see the launch pad has been cleared of men. And yes, please stand by for an interview by Chairman InSpace, Dr. Pawan Goenka. We will shortly show you an interview with Dr. Pawan Goenka, Chairman InSpace.
Health is observed to be nominal. Proceeding
Today is a
switch over
historic
to interval
milestone day in India's private sector's journey into the space sector. This has been possible because of the space reforms announced by the Government of India in June 2020. And the Skyroot Aerospace team, in a very short period of 2 years, have come to this point where they could launch the suborbital vehicle, VKS. The ISRO team, the InSpace team, have played a big role in enabling the launch today. And I'm looking forward to a successful launch and a start of a new era in India's space sector.
Back to the live feed, where the rocket view is available to you. The Honorable Minister of State, Dr. Jitendra Singh, flanked by Chairman ISRO and Department of Space Secretary Shri S. Somanath, and also by Shri Pawan Goenka, Chairman of InSpace. These dignitaries have graced this occasion, and it shows the importance.
Radar, sir, going to switch on pulsar.
It shows the importance of the launch and the importance
safety officer
the
here,
which
even number
the
65
government of
completed.
India is according to this launch. 4 minutes, 52 seconds to the launch, and we are honored and we are inspired to see the top leadership of this country in the space sector.
Sharwan to blockhouse, the data reception is nominal. Signal strength observed is also good.
In the space sector,
Roger.
supporting this launch.
Blockhouse
And
1
as
to
we all
all
know,
stations.
this today
VIKRAM S
definitely
is
is a
powered on
historic
and
day,
running on its
where
own
after
battery.
opening the space sector, with the government support, with the support of agencies like InSpace, the facilitator, and with the support of ISRO, with the facilities which ISRO has created over the years, we are all set to create another history today, where India takes a giant leap towards private sector participation in the space industry.
Minus 4 minutes.
3 minutes, 58 seconds to the launch, and
safety officer,
all
Roger.
clear. Weather you can see is very fine here. As my colleague has already told, उन्होंने बताया है कि मौसम बहुत ही बढ़िया, मौसम बहुत ही अनुकूल, हवाएं बहुत ही धीमी गति से 7 या 8 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटा की रफ्तार, 7 या 8 मीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से हवाएं बह रही हैं, और हमारे रॉकेट जो है ये डिजाइन किया हुआ है करीब करीब 25 मीटर्स पर सेकंड वेग तक इस रॉकेट को हम लॉन्च कर सकते हैं। इस बढ़िया मौसम के हम इंतजार कर रहे थे, और हमें आज ये अवसर मिला है, और हम इस लॉन्च के काफी करीब हैं। अब सिर्फ 3 सेकंड बच गए हैं।
As we wait for the history in the making, the launch of a first privately owned company from the Indian soil.
Minus 3
These
minutes.
are the views from the Mission Control Center VVIP Gallery with the top brass of ISRO, along with Chairman in Space and the Honorable Minister, eagerly waiting for the launch. We are about 2 minutes 40 seconds from the launch.
The efforts of more than 4 years are coming towards the first fruition, which will
Blockhouse
give
1 to
a
blockhouse 2.
stepping
Please confirm
stone
event number 60 and
to all
61.
of us. And on your view, the final views of the rocket as it prepares to take off, all the preparations are in place, all parameters behaving normally, and the launch being intently monitored. We will, Madhuri, why don't you tell us about a very important procedure called wind weighing for this stable rockets?
Yes, sir. As we wait for the launch, let me just throw some
Minus
light
4
on it.
minutes.
Today morning's
number
winds
76
were
completed.
measured using the wind profiler at SDSC. This data was then fed to the mission simulation software. And the corrections required in the launch elevation angle and the launch azimuth angle to compensate for the performance deviations of VIKRAM S due to this wind are calculated. As you know, these adjustments are possible with the launcher. The azimuth and the launch elevation angle have been set accordingly. The launch azimuth is at 80 degrees and 100 degrees, the LEA and launch azimuth, as I said. And this is what is required for this mission. This is a standard procedure for all the suborbital rocket launches from SDSC.
उड़ान से बस 1 मिनट 10 सेकंड दूर हम लोग, और जैसे मेरी सहयोगी माधुरी जी ने बताया आपको कि हम लोगों ने आज सुबह
Minus
ये
1 minute.
हवा की रफ्तार गति नापी है,
Minus
और
45
इस मापन को हमने अपने मिशन सिमुलेशन प्रोग्राम में डाला है,
Minus 50 seconds.
और कौन सी एंगल से किस धरती से
Minus
कितना
48
एंगल बनाते
seconds.
हुए ये रॉकेट उड़े, ताकि हम जो चाहते हैं, जो कक्षा हम
Minus
चाहते हैं, जो
40
ऊंचाई हम
seconds.
चाहते हैं, वो हमें मिले। ये माधुरी जी ने बताया आपको। रॉकेट का व्यू
Minus 30 seconds.
लॉन्च से सिर्फ 30 सेकंड दूर। हम अब ज्यादा बोलने वाले नहीं है
Minus
कुछ देर
30
तक।
seconds.
हम
Event
आपके
number
साथ मिल
80
करके
completed.
इस रॉकेट की व्यूज को
Minus
एंजॉय
25
करेंगे।
seconds.
Last few minutes, last few seconds, 20 seconds, we
Minus
momentarily
20
go
seconds.
quiet, and we feel the launch along with
Minus
you.
15.
We enjoy the launch along with you. Just 10 seconds to launch.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Event number 96 completed.
And we have a successful
Event number
liftoff
98 completed.
of VIKRAM S rocket. I think I should be able to show you the jubilant environment here at the
P3
Mission
track.
Control Center, where the entire team is celebrating the launch and the spin stabilized rocket. The views from the launcher camera. In a few seconds, the vehicle will undergo the condition of maximum aerodynamic pressure, followed by the motor burnout, and we will get you those confirmations shortly. The vehicle will experience Qmax around 15 seconds, and at the same time maximum aerodynamic loads will occur. Just to remind the viewers, this is an aerodynamically stabilized vehicle. At 20 seconds flight time, we have reached Mach 5,
Plus 1
which
minute.
means it is flying at 5 times the velocity of sound. And with this, the vehicle has achieved hypersonic velocities. It looks like we do have successful burnout, and the flight trajectory is tracking as per the prediction.
Rocket is now at the altitude of 66 kilometers, 67 now. We have completed 80 seconds of flight time. We are around 34 seconds away from the launch pad, and the totally intended trajectory is being followed. The present altitude is 75 kilometers. As we slowly go towards our target of crossing 80 kilometers and way beyond that, nominally we expect to be around 100 kilometers when the peak altitude occurs. See the screen.
Views from the Mission Control Center.
86 kilometers in altitude. We are at 85 kilometers now, and slowly and steadily we are reaching our peak altitude. If you can see it on the screens, the altitude profile is being shown. Around 133 seconds have passed. We are very close to our peak altitude. We are now at around 88 kilometers peak altitude, and everything has gone as per we have planned. We are very close to the peak altitude now. The peak altitude performance has been reached at around 155 seconds, and now slowly the rocket will start its descent. Actually, it has just started from 88 kilometers. Now it has come to around 87.1 kilometer. The peak altitude being met, this mission today has given a good, successful, satisfactory performance
Plus 3 minutes.
as intended by us.
जी हाँ, एक सफल उड़ान, प्रथम उड़ान विक्रम एस के लिए। प्रारंभ बड़ा ही रोचक रहा। यह रॉकेट अपने गंतव्य तक भी पहुंचा और अब अपनी ऑल्टीट्यूड को घटाने की कोशिश में मात्र 70 किलोमीटर की ऑल्टीट्यूड पर अब यह रॉकेट स्थित है।
This rocket achieved the apogee of 89.5 kilometers. That is, the peak altitude achieved by this rocket was 89.5. Our target was to cross 80 kilometers. As you all know, 80 kilometers is commonly defined as the start of space. So this rocket successfully went into space as we intended. And now, after completing its mission of achieving the peak orbit,
4 minutes.
creating the conditions for the payloads to function, and completing its job successfully, it is on its way back to a safe splashdown in the Bay of Bengal as we have intended. The range right now is 115 kilometers away from Shar, and we expect it to impact somewhere around 130 kilometers away from Shar. The whole thing has gone as per planned. ये बहुत ही खुशी की बात है कि स्काई रूट की तरफ से उनके पहले अभियान में ही जो उन्होंने प्लान किया था, जो हमने प्लान किया था, वो हम सक्सेसफुल रहे, और अब ये रॉकेट अपने स्प्लैश डाउन के बहुत ही नजदीक है, और हम किसी भी क्षण अब स्प्लैश डाउन के करेंगे और ये मिशन सक्सेसफुली अकम्प्लिश हो जाएगा। हम
5 minutes.
यहाँ पर बधाई देना चाहेंगे इन स्पेस को जिन्होंने इस पूरे मिशन को रेगुलेट किया, गाइड किया। हम बधाई देना चाहेंगे सतीश धवन स्पेस सेंटर श्रीहरिकोटा को जिन्होंने ये हमें फैसिलिटेट किया। इसरो को, इसरो चेयरमैन को, वी थैंक ऑल दिस पीपल। वी आर humbled by the support which we got. Happy views from the mission control. And yeah, and now we take leave from you. Goodbye from our side, handing over to Sri Pawan Goenka, Chairman in Space, for his speech.
Thank you, viewers. Goodbye.
Thank you, viewers, for joining us. We sign off.
Safety officer, confirm clear launch. Please stand by. We are going for inspection. We'll assess and clear. Otherwise, normal.
Good morning. I'm happy to announce the successful completion of mission PRARAMBH, the beginning of Skyroot Aerospace. The rocket VKS took off at LEA of 80 degrees and azimuth of 100 degrees, achieved an altitude of 89.5 kilometers and a range of 121.2 kilometers, exactly what was planned by Skyroot Aerospace. All systems, as I can make out, worked as planned, and Skyroot Aerospace has demonstrated capability of various subsystems that will go into the orbital launch vehicle. I congratulate Skyroot Aerospace, their team members, and thank various centers of ISRO, specifically SDSC, STRAC, and VSSC, team members of InSpace, led by Director PMA, Dr. Jain, and Director Technical, Mr. Rajiv Jyoti, and many thanks to multiple reviews conducted by experts from ISRO, InSpace, and from outside for the mission readiness and launch clearance, led by Dr. B. Suresh. This is a new beginning for Indian private sector entry into space, and it's a historic moment for all of us. We have the pleasure of having Honorable Minister of State, Dr. Jitendra Singh, here with us to give us encouragement, and I request him to give his thoughts on what today's mission means for our country. Dr. Singh.
Congratulations, India. It is indeed a new beginning, a new dawn, and shall I say, very appropriately as our team members have put it, a new PRARAMBH in the journey of India's space program. And very many thanks to Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, who has made this effort possible by opening up the space sector to public-private participation. It's also a major step forward to India developing its own space ecosystem and emerging as a frontline nation in the community of world nations. And of course, a turning point in India's startup movement. Well done, Team Skyroot. The co-founders can join me here. Pawan, IIT Kharagpur alumni, Bharat, IIT Madras alumni, who have worked day and night to make this possible. And of course, kudos ISRO. You have this day on the 18th of November 2022 added yet one more feather into your much decorated hat. And thanks ISRO for putting India as a frontline nation in the years to come, and a nation to which others would look forward to, vital cues in the journey of space sector. Thanks once again. Congratulations. Congratulations everybody. Well done.
I now request Pawan Chandana, Mission Director for PRARAMBH mission and also co-founder of Skyroot, to talk about what it took to reach up to this point. And Bharat is the co-founder of Skyroot. He is also here.
Honorable Union Minister of State, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, Secretary Department of Space, Dr. Somnath Ji, Chairman in Space, Dr. Pawan Goenka Ji, Director Shar, Director VSSC, respected guests, our colleagues, and everyone watching this online. We are very excited to announce that we scripted history today by successfully launching India's first privately developed rocket, VIKRAM S. The vehicle reached space to an altitude of 89.5 kilometers and completed the required mission objectives. This PRARAMBH mission, as the name signifies, is the beginning of a new era in the Indian space ecosystem. Team Skyroot dedicates this successful mission to Dr. VIKRAM Sarabhai, who boldly started the Indian space program in the 1960s, and Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi Ji, who unlocked the space sector to the private players. And most importantly, we thank InSpace and ISRO, all their teams and their dynamic leadership who enabled this mission in this most efficient way. With the able help of ISRO, this challenging mission was executed by a startup Skyroot and our very new space regulator InSpace within just 2 years from the government announcing space reforms. Ladies and gentlemen, this PRARAMBH mission symbolizes not only India's first private rocket launch, it also symbolizes the potential of New India. We thank each and every team member of Skyroot for making this historic moment a reality, and their family members for supporting them throughout this challenging journey. And importantly, we thank all our shareholders who have been our backbone in this endeavor. This is a small step by a startup and a giant leap for the Indian space industry. It's just the PRARAMBH of a great future. Thank you.
May I now request Rajiv Jyoti, Technical Director in InSpace, to talk about the role played by ISRO and InSpace in facilitating this launch.
Very good morning to all of you. At the outset, let me also congratulate the Skyroot team for scripting and making a new beginning in the Indian space sector with the maiden launch of this rocket PRARAMBH. Respected Honorable Minister of State Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji and our Honorable Secretary Department of Space and our Chairman in Space, our Member Finance, Team Skyroot, especially Pawan and Bharat, team led ISRO, which is led by Director VSSC, Director Shar and Director ISRAC. Today's success is the culmination of efforts which is being made by various ISRO centers who proactively contributed in the launch mission of this rocket, designed and built by a private company, Skyroot. The whole launch supports was given they were provided in various forms, like today's SHAR has given is SDSC, SRC, the sounding rocket complex launch pad for its operation for the private launch rocket. Sounding rocket integration and checkout facilities, tracking radar support, the ranging and tracking operations, ground and range safeties, NDT testing and many mission hardwares which were supplied to Skyroot team. And ISTREC also provided a support for compatibility tests at the development phase and ground station support during the launch in the receiving telemetry which you are seeing on your screens. For all this support, Department of Space and InSpace have facilitated Skyroot by signing multiple tripartite joint project implementation plan with multiple ISRO centers. PRARAMBH being maiden flight, safety was of paramount importance, so no stone was left unturned. Various expert committees were constituted to review the requirements of launch system mission and operation. I compliment the Skyroot team for providing compliance to all those recommendations which were given during the various development phase. The mission review and the launch review committee, chaired by veteran rocket expert Dr. B.N. Suresh, and the members from ISRO and InSpace, and ex-officio experts from ISRO, they all critically reviewed each and every mission readiness requirements, launch vehicle systems, integration preparations, quality aspects, as well as the most important, the safety guidelines. Finally, after obtaining all the compliances of all the actions, SHAR range safety clearance was obtained. Committee got a confidence and gave approval for the final launch. And really, I thanks to Rain God also that we are lucky that today we got a favorable launch window during this cyclonic month. I'm sure that flight data of this mission will be received, which are received at the various ground stations, is going to be very useful for Skyroot for their future mission. We will be giving not only for this performance of vehicle, but also give confidence for their next orbital mission. So this being a technology demonstration flight, it will help to validate their systems which have gone as a payload into this launch vehicle. On the behalf of InSpace team, I once again congratulate the team Skyroot and looking forward to work for your upcoming orbital missions. ISRO is with you. Thanks to the Department of Space, Chairman ISRO and Secretary DOS, MRR and Launch Vehicle Committee for giving guidance during this landmark journey of great achievement. Jai Hind.